Now, this last app I want to show you is very different than the others. It's called Adobe Story, and you might not have heard of it before. It's a brand new emerging technology. Currently, it's absolutely free. You'll find it on labs.adobe.com, which is a great place to go because Adobe always puts up oftentimes like the next version of like Photoshop or Lightroom or Flash, and you could go there and just test out and see what Adobe is doing. They're very generous with their software. They want you to test it and play with it and fall in love with it and find problems with it and report it to them. And so there's all kinds of great things happening at the Adobe Labs, and Adobe Story is one of them. And what this is basically a pre-production application. They have production covered with On Location and post-production covered with After Effects and Premiere and Encore. But what about pre-production? What about getting your script ready and planning your shoot? And that's what Adobe Story is for. So you get Adobe Story, and it's actually a web-based application. So this is what Adobe Story looks like. And so you can create a new script. I can go down over here to the right-hand side, go to this drop-down, and I'm going to create a new script. I could also create a new character bio, which allows you to input stuff about a character. So if you're trying to define a character that he's a dark, brooding character and has this thing in his background or whatever, you can create that to make sure that you don't have any conflicts so that the character is true to the nature that you set up for him initially. And I'm going to go ahead and create a new script, and I type a name for it. I'll just call this Day at the Park. And so I click enter here. And as you can see here, it creates kind of like this document. And we could start typing, and we can add events to this, like the same way you would write a script in Microsoft Word. But the difference is that once we start creating events, then Adobe Story will start noticing the way that we formatted our script. And unfortunately, I'm not a screenwriter, so I don't really know that formatting very well. But once you do that, then Adobe Story will recognize that and will start making indications based on what you've input, which is really cool. So that way, let's say you go to shoot, you know what characters are going to be in what scenes, what props are going to be used in what scenes. So you have a list of what needs to be present on the day of shooting. You could go to these menus here and you can manage different scenes and shots and all kinds of information to not only get your script off the ground, but help you organize it in preparation for shooting. You could also go to the File menu and export what you create here as an Adobe Story script to save for later as a PDF, text document, as an Excel comma-separated values file, or even a final draft file as well. So as you can see here, Adobe Story, it's brand new, it's cutting edge, it's very new, and it's not complete, but it is free, and it is a great way to start getting into this workflow where you're creating your future video workflow right from the beginning in pre-production. It's very conceivable to think that there's a day then you will make your projects in Adobe Story, and all of that metadata, the dialogue and character information, will carry through into On Location when you record straight to disk and On Location, and that will go over into Premiere. And so you can see Adobe's brain at work as it's trying to make the entire video workflow easy and as automated as possible.